Hey folks, Jeremy here. Just a heads up about this episode. So this was recorded live in Duckstream back in December of 2018. It's me, it's Gary, and it's all of the East Coast people. So I believe it's Brayton and Nick are also on this. The audio quality is not so great. I was recording this directly from the Google Hangouts. You can sometimes hear some of my audio echoing on their track, and that's pretty much impossible to remove. And their audio sounds like they were in a cramped room with a lot of echo, all talking to one mic when they sit on a couch, because that is exactly what they were doing. I tried to clean it up as much as possible. I think Gary, in some cases, is kind of hard to hear or understand. And in fact, in listening back to the episode, I could actually hear me say, hey, what did you just say? I didn't quite get that. So very little editing on this because it's kind of impossible. But I wanted to put it out there on the feed anyway for you guys to listen to in case you missed it live. This is also on YouTube. If you're listening to this, I'll have a link in the show notes. If you're listening to this in the early feed, there's no way I can put a link in the show notes. But if you're listening to this in the main feed, there will be a link in the show notes to where this appears on YouTube, assuming Cole has actually put it on YouTube. I need to go check that. Anyway, so yeah, rough edit, X-Men, the Wolverine, giant samurai, flaming adamantium swords, and yeah, just lots of ninjas. So I guess enjoy?
Because, I mean, how many pieces of clothing are you wearing, Jeremy?
How many pieces of clothing do I what?
Are you wearing?
I am wearing a shirt, some pajama pants, and some special Duckstream underwear.
Okay.
Which are just underwear that I've cut a duck-shaped hole out of in case I need to.
You should have a typo. Is it a duck-shaped hole? But simplify.
Sure, yeah. Simplify is what I'm looking for.
Simplify is what you gotta do. This did not have a class. Nobody needs to worry. But are we ready to talk about the Wolverine?
I am. If you guys are, I don't want to say I was born ready, but I've been ready since about 3:00 this afternoon.
I hope you're not bored at 3:00 this afternoon. The clone sitch. Yeah. So everybody, just real quick before we get started, welcome everybody's watching the Duckstream 2018. Yay! It's time for 2018 Duckstream. Thanks everybody for joining us. Thanks everybody for donating. You can donate if you go to Duckfeed.tv/Duckstream. There are special instructions if you need a receipt, but you can donate there. And we are hosting this year, not in a living room. We're hosting at the Enthusiasm Collective in downtown Portland. So big thanks to our hosts.
Thank you.
Thanks to them. They're fantastic, and that's why we're in this very official, business-like conference room for everything. That I did not tell them I was going to wear just underwear.
Yeah,
I just decided to go for it. Yeah, I'm actually wearing a layer of underwear under this.
Oh, I see. So you're wearing one less article of clothing than Jeremy.
Yes,
wow,
I won it.
That's impressive. That's extremely impressive.
Thank you.
Jeremy's video frozen.
It's okay. I like it. He's just sternly staring at me.
Look, I'm Hugh Jackman.
It's so cranky. Cranky.
That's not the stream. That is 100% just Hangouts is frozen Jeremy.
That's really good.
Oh, sweet. Okay, good. I guess it'll catch up or not. I don't know why. I'm waving my hands around like you can still see me. I have no idea why I'm doing that.
Talking to us. I kind of dig it. Charles, I don't need you, Charles. Or that's the opposite. Charles is the one who doesn't use lips. Magneto uses his lips.
Magneto.
Magnetos. But thanks everybody for hanging out, and we're going to get started with a live Days of Future Cast episode. And I will let Jeremy start this because he usually starts that podcast. And we'll pull the audio off YouTube later.
No, I'm actually recording the raw audio of this, so we'll release this as a podcast, and it'll sound okay. It won't sound terrible. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to edit it, so let's not get into that. But yeah. So we're gonna cover the Wolverine, which came out in 2013, featuring the Marvel Comics character Wolverine, just in case you guys didn't know that. This is the 6th movie in the X-Men franchise and the second film of the Wolverine solo film franchise. Hugh Jackman is back, and James Mangold directs. Originally, this was supposed to be directed by Darren Aronofsky, which I think would be a much better and all-around great movie. I don't know about you guys.
And by Christopher McQuarrie, the Mission Impossible guy.
Yeah.
Oh.
Also, where did I see this? There was a thing on Wikipedia about it where it said it. Yeah, it's no longer here now, so people are going to think I imagined this. But there was a thing on Wikipedia where it said it is a action, suspense, sci-fi, epic, something like a thing superhero film. They give it 6 adjectives on some kind of thing I read. Maybe it's on IMDb. Pretty bonkers.
That's too many adjectives for this movie when you could just call it okay. Like that's all you really need. It's an okay movie. Put that on your film poster.
Yeah, okay. Like just and this is the bottom is a little picture of like Hugh Jackman going like. So you mentioned Hugh Jackman returns. Before we actually get into what happened to this movie, did you spend any time on the IMDb trivia, Jeremy?
You mean where every single entry is about Hugh Jackman getting just incredibly ripped for this thing? It's ridiculous.
How sad he was that he didn't get more muscular for the previous movies, and how happy he was about how muscular he was for this one, including following dehydration techniques of not drinking any liquids for 36 hours to make himself look real like stringy.
Yeah.
And it's all just him being happy about that. Like every other entry in trivia is just like, Hugh Jackman was extremely happy about how wiry and leathery he looked during this movie.
Can I jump in with a Hugh Jack fact?
Yeah.
It's a new segment on the podcast, Gary, a Hugh Jack fact.
Jackman, being Australian, when he was cast in the first X-Men movie, didn't know what a Wolverine was because they don't exist in Australia. So he thought it was a wolf of some sort. So he did all this like studying to mimic wolf movements and wolf behavior. The director was like, and then they had to like cut shooting and take him to the zoo.
I hope he showed up on the first day I said with like a fox in his teeth.
Yeah.
Like just dropped it on the director's, like Bryan Singer's trailer.
Yeah.
Thing. So how does this bad boy start, Jeremy?
So it starts with the Holocaust. I mean, not the Holocaust, but I mean, close enough. Yeah, it starts with the bombing on Nagasaki. Oh man, I should not have had a couple of glasses of wine before we started this. I'm feeling a little loose.
Nagasaki is the other one.
Say again?
It's Nagasaki, not Hiroshima.
There you go. Yeah. But yeah, basically, there's this army camp. The Wolverine has been captured and put into a tube somehow, which, frankly, I think would make for a better movie than this does. Like, I want to see that story about how he gets in this tube more than I do with the rest of this movie.
He called me Tuberine. And he's like a prisoner of war, but like this is kind of confusing. Like they get an attack, they hear a siren, and the one good honorable like guard starts freeing all the prisoners so they could die like running away from a nuke.
Yes.
And then looks over and sees Wolverine, and the editing here is real weird because he's holding himself up at the top of the tube with his claws, but whenever they show his eyes, he looks really relaxed, like he's just like at eye level with the tube. It's very strange. And he goes over and goes to let Wolverine out. Wolverine says, like, hey, if that siren is what I think it is, no amount of running is going to help you, buddy. Go murder yourself.
Yeah.
And he go join that suicide party. There's like everybody's getting together to have like a stomach stab off, you know?
Yeah, and apparently in the extended edition, we get to see more blood. I think we should probably mention that I think we both watched the extended version, which just adds a lot more blood, and that's it. Like it's every single entry is like, yeah, there's like extended scenes of blood in the scenes, and it lasts for 3 minutes long. it's
somebody with a combine, and then it just sprays his like it's Gremlins 1. Like it's really silly.
It's ridiculous.
So the 3 of the soldiers kill themselves, or 2 of them. The third guy was going to do it, but he decides not to, and we see this nuclear bomb go off.
Absolutely. And then Logan springs out of nowhere. The Wolverine himself springs out of nowhere, like grabs this dude, throws him down a tube, throws a piece of metal on top of him. And I don't know if any of you have seen the movie Threads, but that's not what happens in this situation. Like this would be much worse.
not a nuclear scientist, but I also thought that maybe they wouldn't be safe just by being in a tube. Like, it's not that I just a deeper tube, and I just felt like that was not nuke safe. These other tubes, you know?
A tube with an open top. Like, there's not even like a plastic lid on that bad boy or anything. Like, there's not even a grate. There's just all of that fallout's going right into that tube, right to the bottom.
It's just, and like Fallout Falls, you know, like it's a thing. So they just hang out.
Rise Up.
Yeah, it's not Rise Out.
So he, you know, he's been fried at this point, and he's all fried up in like kind of bad makeup, and the soldier looks at him, and the soldier tries to run away from him, but Logan stops him. And this is a nightmare, of course, a nightmare within a nightmare, because Logan wakes up and he's got Jean, and it's Famke Janssen. This is the first X-Men movie after X3, X-Men United. So this is like actually like her biggest. I think this is the most lines she's gotten in any X-Men movie.
Yeah, this definitely seems like the most in-depth character work she's doing, because usually she just like holds her hand up and her hair flies around and then Cyclops cries. So it's nice that she gets to do a little actual character work in this one.
Yeah, she has a hallucination, so it's kind of a a bummer there. But Logan wakes up with her in bed, which is kind of fucked up. That like after he murdered her, he's just continuously like every night kind of fantasizing about making out with her and having sex with her.
Well, Gary, you just said you had a girlfriend. Isn't your relationship just like this? Like, I know me and Autumn, like it's all murder, sex fantasies all the way down for the last 15 years.
Well, I got this to stop that.
Oh.
For the jobs I want. She wakes up. She's like very upset. He says, I'll never hurt you or anyone else. I made this vow. And she's like, oh yeah? And like looks down and his claws are already in her gut. And he freaks out. Well, it's a real gotcha moment. She's very pranked.
Gene is a prankster from way back. That's what Xavier brainwashed her to be, because he likes pranksters.
Yeah. Gene Arcade Gray.
That's what they call her, absolutely.
He wakes up again, and he's Big Mountain Man Wolverine.
Yes, this is good. Is this Canada? They don't ever really specify, but I just assume that this is Canada.
Oh, there are bears, so probably.
Yeah, there are bears that convince you to join a suicide pact, but we'll get there. We'll get there eventually.
It's like the Suicide Girls, but like so he wanders through this forest. He's being nice to these bears. He sees the bear. The bear gives him like a what up,
Yeah.
And then he goes into a bar, and he's being filmed here, which is a little side note. And he notices a hunting, or wanders into town. And there's a hunting party of jerks.
Yes.
And they constantly. I watched this with subtitles on, Jeremy, and the amount of times they foreshadow arrows. Like all they do is say, "Did you get the arrows? We got arrows. We got arrows, right?
We got arrows.
Cool. I love arrows. Oh yeah, dude." It's like going back and forth about how cool arrows are. Like it's me. Like it's just really weird.
My favorite part about the hunting party is that they're just clearly getting drunk, and not even in a parking lot, but just on the street next to this little store that Wolverine's trying to buy some batteries in, and shooting guns off. Like this is ridiculous. This is like me at 14 in a church parking lot with Roman candles, except a gun. What are you doing? This is terrible.
You at 35 with a revolver doing this. So he goes back to his cave. He's listening to classical, trying to chill out, but he hears screams and shots. He goes to the camp, nobody's there, and say he finds the bear. And what do you think about the CG or animatronics or whatever they do with this like sad bear that's in frame for a very long time?
I know that Autumn, right after she watched the scene, was like, it would have been just easier and cheaper to get a real bear, right? Like, this is ridiculous. It's pretty silly. This whole scene when he finds the bear and it's been wounded, and the bear looks at him and he says, "Don't make me do this." Like, what? Can you commune with the bears, Wolverine? What are you doing?
They gave each other this. Like, they were just like, "What? I'm a bear." And he's like, "Yeah, that's all right. I'm the Wolverine. I'm the best at what I do." And then he went into town. Like, he definitely talks to bears, and that's never followed up on.
Never.
Like, what if Logan started out with him at the zoo, like just like throwing popcorn in the bear cage, like doing like. What's up?
Logan and Gene as starring and We Bought a Zoo coming in theaters 2020. Is that what we're looking for?
Not buying zoos. So yeah, he puts the bear out of his misery because the bear has been poisoned.
Yes. Yeah, and this makes Logan angry, and he's willing to break his vow, even though we've only known about it for about 45 seconds. So he's he's willing to knock off this whole non-violence, listen to classical musical peacenik situation in order to avenge the bear that he did we talk about the bear pissing, by the way? I don't think we mentioned that. The bear pees at some point, towards Wolverine. I don't think we mentioned that.
That's how they talk. That's the language they speak. If you get the extra extended cut, there's a lot of Wolverine peeing in the direction of the bear, and the bear peeing back. And then Wolverine pees a little bit more, like some dribbles, and then the bear is full stream, and then Wolverine nods solemnly and walks away, having been dusted. You know?
And that was all the footage they saved from the lost Joss Whedon cut of this film.
That he is. So he gives the hunters a bunch of hell about this. One of the hunters, he's like, "I'm gonna buy you a drink because you killed that bear." Most of the hunters died too.
Yes,
that gets over very quickly. And then he stabs the arrow into the hunter's hand. It's like, "Yeah, you're the guy who's using poison arrows on this bear here." And the guy's like, "You can prove it was me." And he's like, "Well, you have nothing to worry about. The poison's not coursing through your system right now." It's pretty cool. Wolverine kills a lot of people in this movie, more than he usually does. I feel like, you know.
Yeah.
The spectrum to Logan, it's not quite the body count of Logan, but.
Also, I feel like this is really the only justified killing that he does, because otherwise it's just a bunch of faceless ninjas and Yakuza people, they're video game people. This feels real personal and good.
Yeah, this is a good kill.
Good kill. Can we get a ding somewhere? Just ding.
Killed it. I would like to join the X-Men. So he's going to kill these guys. He says sorry about his vow, but then the lady who was filming him stops him and does sword stunts. I thought she was going to fight the guy. She's like, "You're going to die in a week in a car crash," and then she does two little stunts. She cuts off the bottom of a bottle of beer and then cuts a chair, and then that's it. And all the public is "Oh, you win,"
we are very intimidated by you, small Asian woman we've never seen before.
It was the furthest apart eyes of anyone I've ever seen. She's got a very unique head.
She does, yeah.
Yeah, it's just really, I've never seen her in anything else. Is she in other stuff?
You have seen her in something else, because she plays a red priestess on the street in Game of Thrones, probably season 7 or something.
I like how you said priestess and then coughed and said it again.
Yeah. I was all over the place there.
She's not the lady in Kill Bill I know who you're talking about, but this lady is different than I think. And then we get to know what their whole thing is. So she knows her employer is Yoshida, who is the guy who he saved at Nagasaki. Mm-hmm. And he wants to pay his debts. He's dying. And Wolverine's like, "I'm not going to Japan." And she's like, "It'd be rude." He's like, "I don't care. I'm not going." And she essentially just says "Please, I guess." And then it happens.
Yeah, she tells him I know what you want. You're a soldier, and you seek what all soldiers do, an honorable death. And I'm I'm pretty sure soldiers just want to get out of active duty and retire. They just probably want to live with their families until they have a nice, comfortable life after they served their country. Shout outs to soldiers for not having a death wish at all times. Yukio.
Yeah, she's got a misconception here. She also knows about the X-Men. She takes them to Tokyo. Mm-hmm. They agree. They go on a private plane, and there's this has the cadence of a joke, but it's not a joke. Where she's like, "What's the matter? You don't like flying?" He goes, "I love it." And then that seems like it's gonna be a joke, or Wolverine has a legendary fear of flying or something. But then it just cuts to him drinking on the plane and having another nightmare, or another flashback. I don't know what that is. I didn't feel like that was a well set up or executed joke.
I feel like that was a really veiled reference to Cyclops not being able to land the Blackbird in the previous X-Men movies, but I could be really reaching for that one.
There could be. just the turbulence that Cyclops had.
Yeah.
It didn't come up at all in this movie, despite it being primarily about his,
his relationship with Cyclops. Yeah. That's what the rest of this movie is about.
Yeah. What if Cyclops was the Force Ghost that showed up? I would love that.
There are very few things you could put after "what if" and what would happen in this movie that I wouldn't be more enthusiastic about than the things that actually happen in this movie. What if the bear was the Dream Bear from New Mutants? Okay, I'm in. Keep talking. Keep talking.
Nightmare Bear or whatever they have. So he's like, hey, Yukio, or is it Yukio or Yuriko?
It's Yukio, coming from the official IMDb page.
And she's like, she doesn't answer if he can tell his future. And he has a little flashback. He's like, hey, do you feel pain? He says, yes, I do. They arrive at the site, and we find a little bit of Yukio says it's dark time for Japan. Yoshida helped the country after the war.
Mm-hmm.
And the compound is guarded against Yakuza. There's a metal detector scene because it's Wolverine, and that's a real knee slapper.
Yep. Every single time. It always gets me, Gary. It's the funniest joke.
Well, this whole thing is really fun, goofy. Like the stuff with the sandals and the things with the bath.
Yeah.
What is going on with that bath scene?
The bath scene is extremely strange. Like, okay, I want my employer asked me to come get you so that he could pay his debt to you, but he refuses to see you with a beard. You're going to have to clean up a little bit before you enter the sanctum of my employer.
And 3 of my employees are going to watch you like you're a car. Like they just like brushes on sticks, and they're just like, and he's just going, hey.
I love that line where he's like, hey, I can get that part, as if they were just going like straight for the Wolverine junk. Like, come on. These old ladies don't care about your junk.
Scrub it down to the adamantium. Like, ridiculous. Also, we're introduced to Shinjin, who is going to be the secondary antagonist of the movie.
Yeah.
Who is Yoshida's.
Yeah, Yoshida's son. And Yukio takes him to go see Yoshida finally. So he goes into this kind of bedroom setup, this home hospital setup. There's a very pretty blonde doctor Wolverine's extremely impressed with now, which seems really weird. Like, hey, good, congrats on the hot doctor. Like, I mean, really? She has a weird tongue and a spitting fetish. I don't think that she's a great doctor.
They put out this whole Hello Nurse scene that he was getting. This Animaniacs reference they were going to throw in here.
Yes.
A deep cut.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So he sees that, and he's introduced to Mariko as well. Mariko is Yoshida's granddaughter, and Shinjin's daughter. And we just kind of get it. We're just kind of learning about these relationships a little bit.
Yeah.
Like Mariko and Yukio are friends, like essentially siblings. Like very bonded. Closest family. And I think this is where we get the slap scene where Mariko and her grandfather talk to each other, and he slaps him. Right.
Mariko and her father, not her grandfather.
Yeah. Shinjin.
I got to be honest, it had been a few years since I'd seen this, and I had a weird problem where I couldn't get any subtitles for this movie for the Japanese parts. So at first I thought they were in a relationship, like I thought this was husband and wife territory. And then when I got the subtitles, I went back and I was like, oh, this is his daughter. That's even weirder. Like, what are you doing? Why do we have this slapping scene? I don't like this at all.
I rented this from Amazon and also couldn't get subtitles for a lot of it. Like, some things are subtitled, and sometimes it just said and it felt kind of racist. Like, it would just be on the background and be like Japanese grunt.
Oh God! How is that different from any other grunt?
We don't grunt the same language. It's a universal language. The grunt.
All grunts are the same when you cut them open, right, Gary?
Exactly. All grunts bleed the same. So we're introduced to Yoshida then on this cool bed.
Yeah.
He's got this bed. Those things you can put your face in or your hand in. It's like all the needles and it makes the shape.
Mm-hmm.
It's like that on a bed.
I would love to have one of these because it feels like I could just sit up and read for a while, and then when I get tired, it would just lay me down as if I was a child. And this is one of the few pieces of technology in this movie where I'm like, ooh, I could use that at the house.
You couldn't use a 10-foot tall adamantium samurai.
I said
swords?
That's the other thing. Yeah, that's the other thing. I've got a garage problem I really need to solve, so I think that's the best way to do it.
Avon.
Yeah.
So yeah, Yoshida basically says, "Hey, thanks for saving my life back then. I want to offer you a gift, and that gift is you dying and giving me your powers. I put a bow on it. It's really nice. Please take this gift from me." I think this is the dumbest thing ever. I don't know why, Yoshida would just assume that this is a thing, right?
It makes a kind of sense to me. What I don't like is that he goes back on it. Like the fact that he's just like, you've lived forever. You seem very sad. I've been watching these cell phone videos that my daughter sends me of you and bars. You seem very sad. You're picking fights with hillbillies. Like, I get that part. Everyone you loved has died. You told the woman you love. Like, I get him offering him death. And then the end, when it's revealed that he's like psych, like that's really troubling to me. Because I read about the movie, and I do think that like on the X-Men curve, better than X-Men 3, it's better than the other Wolverine movie, the first Wolverine movie. It's not so bad, but the ending really kind of drops the ball a lot. I think.
Absolutely. Yeah.
He says no. Like, no.
Of course he does. He's like, no, I don't want to give you my mutant power. I've had it since I was abused by a child by Sabretooth's dad. Like, I want to keep it.
Yeah. It's just like, yeah. So he says, no, take care of your granddaughter. And then he has this, like, I love, this gets interrupted, but I love it if it didn't. Like, it's just this, like, well, I got to stay the night. This just, like, awkward, like, hangout.
Yeah. Do you guys get cable? Like, I wanted to catch up on Lost when I was in Alaska, but what do you have on the DVR?
Period poll, like that would have been period appropriate for this.
So
Mariko can argue.
Yeah.
Mariko's going to go and run and jump off a cliff, and Logan stops her here.
Mm-hmm.
Takes another bath because he's just winning Rome, I guess.
Yeah.
Bath time for daddy.
Yeah, just bath time for daddy is the subtitle for the Wolverine. And you can, later says, we grew up together. We're not sisters. I was homeless, and Nishida found me. And it's just trying to make him feel a little guilty before he leaves.
Yeah.
We're doing the will thing for a little while. And this was subtitled for me.
Yeah, eventually I had to go back and rewatch this. But yeah, this is basically Yoshida telling his son, like, hey, you've always assumed that I was going to give you my company, but I'm not. But you're a good boy, but you don't deserve my company. And Shinjin being understandably a little upset about this. Like, maybe not full supervillain upset, but understandably upset. Like, maybe like Yakuza to kidnap your girlfriend upset. Maybe that's the level of upset that he needs to be.
Like he says, like, I gave you a trial run of my company. You ran into the ground.
Yeah,
like you're bad. But it's in front of all these people too. Like, it's very humiliating. There's an audience for it.
I like how he has a lawyer present. Did you catch that? Where the lawyer like leans over at the beginning of the conversation and drops the tape recorder, so it's official. I'm like, damn, that's ice cold.
So he's just gonna know that that's gonna show up on YouTube. Like, son gets like Aaron is owned.
Gary, did your dad ever start a conversation with you about saying this is going to be recorded? Because it's never happened to me before. I would imagine it's very intimidating.
It never happened to me, but my friend Derek, his dad once left him a message where he called him a dumb shit for something.
Excellent.
And Derek used to all the time, and he had it as a .wave, and he kept sending it to me in AOL Instant Messenger. And it was very musical. His dad going, dumb shit, dumb shit. And it was like perfect interval. Like he's playing bits at the piano. He's like, dumb shit. And it was not something that's just like, you're going to get home and mow the lawn, you dumb shit. And Derek was just like, I remember when he got the message, he's like, look at his phone. He's like, what the fuck? Hey, similar thing. So pre-YouTube, luckily. So Logan has another dream at this point. He thinks about it. He's like, he's rewinding the stuff we just saw. He dreams about Jean. Jean's like, you should take him up on it. Like, Ghost Jean is very, wants Wolverine to die.
Well, Ghost Jean is extremely lonely. That's the whole thing she keeps saying throughout this movie is, don't you want to come join me? And I'm like, Jean, please. What is wrong with you?
And also, Scott's there. Like, if she's talking about the afterlife, she killed Scott before any of this stuff happened. So this is double cold.
Well, I mean, Scott's not where Jean is. Like, he's not going to be that lucky. He was never that lucky in life. He's not going to be that lucky in the afterlife.
Eternal gray purgatory. Like, just him in deep, like, tepid water for the rest of his life, yelling for Jean. Just wandering an endless plane. Jean!
He's just standing outside of some hair coloring studio going, it's Jean, not Jean. Just a bunch of redheads file out.
Yeah, he's playing a constant game of like Jean, not Jean, like Duck, Goose. He makes out with her, but it turns into the doctor. She has a doctor who's a character we'll later learn is called Viper, sticking something in his mouth, and this turns out to be very important. This is him sleeping through having a tech spider put on his heart.
Yeah, jet lag.
Isn't it weird?
Jet lag, man.
Yeah, I guess I don't know. I've never actually experienced shit like
I mean,
that.
you fly to Japan, meet a dying man, and get like aggressively watched by 3 old Asian ladies, and see how you feel when somebody mounts you in the middle of the night. See if you wake up.
Sticks a tight spider down your throat into your heart. It's like crawl through his esophagus to get to the heart. Like,
Oh yeah, it took the long way around.
yeah,
There's no direct route from there. You have to go through quite some systems.
If there's a direct route from your throat, that'd be extremely weird. Like, you just like pour milk and just coat the whole thing like that coat the earth painting company thing. Like, so weird. So he wakes up. He feels okay so far because the reveal that he lost his power doesn't come for a little while. Yoshida has died. Yukio did not foresee it for some reason because it's very unclear about her powers.
Yeah.
And there's a funeral they start having, and there's a guy scoping out from the roof, a ninja, the one like named important ninja. There's tons of faceless ninjas in this.
Yes.
So there's one main ninja.
And all through this, as they're like walking to the, I guess you would call it a wake. I'm not really sure, but as they're walking to like the main hall, Dr. Green, aka Viper, just keeps like shooting Wolverine looks like, "Hey, you remember when we made out last night and I put something in your throat that went to your heart?"
Tiger heart, and he's like, "Yeah, no." So Logan and Shinjin meet, and they're like sparring. Shinjin doesn't like him. Shinjin says, "My father said you're a good man. You're a good man, but now it's time for you to go back to your cave." The roof guy who was there before comes down and talks to, speaks in Japanese. He says he'll always be vigilant for Yoshida. He's loyal to the family and to the corporation.
Yeah, I mean, he just says this to himself on the roof. I just need to announce this to the shingles that I'm going to be ever vigilant for you, my liege.
Yeah. This is a lot of exposition. Wolverine notices a suit of samurai armor, and Mirako says that set of armor belongs to the Silver Samurai, who will watch over Yoshida. And like, what's done with the Silver Samurai? Like, I have no affection for that character, but if I did, I'd be very upset about this movie. That they replace him with a killbot with lava swords.
Oh yeah, like I have to imagine that there's some people that are really into this kind of Wolverine story that really get into the Silver Samurai with the honor and everything else. And I can't imagine what they felt like coming out of this movie, because even I don't give a damn about this character, but even I was like, really? You made him into a giant, weird robot? What?
I didn't know that the robot was coming, other than like a couple mentions of it, like offhand. Like you mentioned it offhand, but I didn't really know what it was. I assumed it was smarter than it ends up being.
Nope.
I was like, there's no way. It's just a big adamantium samurai. But no, there's just a big adamantium samurai in about an hour and a half of the movie. So. While this happens, Logan notices that one of the priests has a Yakuza tattoo.
Yep.
Tries to stop. Something's not right. He fails to. The priest turns around and whips him and shoots him in the chest with a shotgun. This is going to actually end up being like really important. And then there's a huge brawl. Everyone strips off their robes, and it's a ballroom blitz.
Yeah. And this is just an extended fight scene. I think this movie actually does very well with its extended fight scenes. Like Yukio with the staff or with the sword is always kind of fun to watch, even if it's not like the raid level of choreography. But everybody here, like this seems fun. Like this was the most fun I had during this movie, which was watching everybody get to fight and shoot one another.
I think the action scenes in this movie are generally really good up until the robot samurai.
Well, I mean, yeah.
But up until that point, I think it's really good.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's a lot of like cool, fun stuff during this. Like Yukio especially has like this weird thing of knocking weapons out of people's hands and then catching them and then not stabbing them with them, which seems like a little short-sighted. But at least she did the cool thing first. Like that's all you really need.
Yeah. Yep. Very cool.
Does she drop the weapon afterwards, or she just have like one hand that's full of weapons that she's got?
Yes, yeah. She's trying to collect daggers so she can mimic the Wolverine. She's just trying to get those 3 claws through her fingers, like you do it if you're dressing up.
Platinum this funeral. If she collects all the weapons, she gets the plat the funeral, and put a trophy for collecting all the weapons.
Unfortunately, you got to go through the Funeral Indie Game Plus to be able to make all the weapons. So she'll be doing this again.
Yeah, you have to join the funeral covenant. The pallbearers.
The funeral covenant.
So Wolverine starts icing people. Dr. Green, I hate that she's called Dr. Green, is recording everything, and like somebody interrupts her, and then she uses her weird tongue and sprays poison in his face. Like she's the only other real like mutant of note in this thing. Wolverine is fighting and stabbing people, and while Wolverine is fighting, his vision starts going blurry, and he keeps looking down at his chest, and it's not healing.
Yeah.
Like, he's really confused by it. He's like, why is this happening? And I think that's actually kind of cool. Like, I like that he doesn't really realize what's going on, and he's like, knows something's wrong, but like, he's just been able to depend on that and be really careless, and now he can't. You know?
Yeah, because he's definitely used to not avoiding bullets, so he just walks into gunfire throughout this movie, whether or not he has his healing factor. And it's interesting because he just keeps going a lot of the times. Like, I feel like, and maybe I know I'm not a couple hundred years old and I'm not a mutant and I'm not like a big badass, but I feel like if I got shot in the chest with a shotgun, I would lay down for a little while. I'd be like, okay, you guys can just keep going. I'm just going to stay here for a little while until the shotgun thing gets taken care of.
You drive yourself into a funeral porta potty and like take 5.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty weird because I just assumed maybe his healing factor was slowed down. Like, he's still enough to like get past it, but that's not really it. They actually went away. It's totally gone. So yeah, it's weird how many bullets he just takes.
Yeah, that's
like on a standard movie level.
That was my biggest complaint when I first saw this movie. Is like, if you're going to take away his healing factor, like, I want to see him age. I want to see him like completely not be able to be a badass anymore. But he's basically just kind of weak Wolverine for the next hour or so until he gets it back. So
yeah, and they do some medical stuff eventually.
Yeah.
This translates. So they get Mariko, but it becomes this chase scene. Or Mariko gets away, but it becomes a chase scene. The Arrow guy is helping him out, and it kind of immediately transitions into like a parkour chase scene where Wolverine is chasing after people, and the Arrow guy is giving him support.
Yeah, and Parker was extremely cool in 2013. By the way, I don't know if you guys remember that. Yeah, it was extremely dope back then.
It was back, baby.
Yeah.
Warzone.
Yeah, Punisher Warzone. All kinds of parkour. We gotta do that at some point. But this when we compare this to a video game, this is an extremely video game scene.
Yes.
Like, even the characters, like, this is a co-op scene where one character covers the other with a sniper bow, and like. Yeah, like, this just felt very video gamey to me.
Is this the movie that Wolverine kind of like Arkham clone video game came out? Is this the one it's based on? Like
that's the last movie.
That's the last movie. Okay.
Yeah, believe it or not, like, that's and it's more like a God of War clone.
That's what I meant God of War. Yeah, sorry about that.
If it was Arkham clone, that'd be great. It's a really, really bad. I was kind of excited to like try it after I had like Wolverine fever. For some reason, like, I watched.
Oh God, Gary, go to the doctor. You got to get that checked out.
The only cure is Wolverine. So eventually, Logan and Mariko actually escape. He frees her, and the two of them actually escape, and they start to get away. Yeah. She tries to leave. Like, you're gonna die if you go on your own. I have to protect you. And she gets on a train, and this is another like pretty cool action scene. Like, the action scenes are really dense in the middle of this movie. You know?
Yeah, and I like this a lot because it's number one, they do a little bit of foreshadowing. Like, Logan is extremely impressed with this because the seats lay back and it goes real fast. Like, that's all it takes to impress Logan.
It's a choo-choo. Like, how they see a bit of heart, Jeremy. So he leans back. We cut back for a little bit back to the funeral. And the guy who is like the Minister of Justice, who's going to show up later, says, no, this is an attack on the Yakuza. I'm trying to shut them down. Shinjin finds out where Mariko went. It's pretty obvious that he's behind this.
Yes.
Shinjin asks Yukio, says, hey, find where Logan is. Like, she's a toy doll that has been left behind. Like, she's nothing.
We go back over to the train scene, and Wolverine has just a little bit of time to do a little internal research of himself in the bathroom of this train, which is not actually a bathroom. It's just an open sink next to the entrance, which seems very strange to me, but I don't know. I've never been on a bullet train. Maybe this is common.
No.
But sure enough, like, a bunch of dudes show up, and then there's more fighting, which is great because that's the part of this movie that I like the most, is the fighting.
Well, and especially this one, because I think I was like, oh, this is a little bit too much of just like ninja fighting for the middle of this thing. But Wolverine accidentally claws open the side of the train. He pushes the guy out of the train, goes to knock somebody else out of it, and gets grabbed, and they both get sucked out of the train because it's moving. It's a bullet train. It moves as fast as, like, can't remember, but it moves as fast as something. So they get stuck on top of the roof of the train, and this is very video gamey, like minecart level.
Yeah, this is very much jump over the thing that's coming at you real fast. Like this is Temple Run is what we're playing right now.
Battletoads level 2 or whatever. Battletoads level 3.
Yeah,
the speeder Battletoads. But it's really cool. Like it's a great set piece. It's cool action.
Yeah, this is
really
fun. This is good. I like when he psychs the dude out because they've both been watching. Like there's two, they're facing off and they're like kind of trying to watch the other one to see if they need to jump, and so Wolverine kind of psychs him out, and the dude jumps up and gets splattered. It's really good.
Yeah. That's super imaginative. I love how they're psyching each other out too, and Wolverine can't see when things are coming. Like Wolverine is distinct. He can only see things that have already happened. So he has a very distinct disadvantage in this psyching. So one of the thugs goes after Mariko, and this goes on for a long time. The rooftop stuff. But eventually, one of the thugs goes after Mariko. Logan flies across the roof, kills him, and they get off at the next stop and check into a love hotel, with funny themed rooms.
Yes, and they choose Mars, which is guys. I've never been to a love hotel. Is this a common theme? Is NASA a common fucktown theme?
Yeah.
No, I'm not going to expand on that.
Okay, cool. Okay, just a plain. Okay,
cool.
good.
I don't know what your fantasy life is like, but if it's not first sex on Mars, just the Martian, part 2.
Yeah, this all sounds terrible. I don't want to do. I don't like any of this.
Not showering and having weird potato teeth from being stuck on Mars and having to eat dirt. Yeah. It's real hot.
Just real emaciated. Muscles don't really work.
Yeah, there's not proper gravity. You can't get good angles. It's a whole thing.
Yeah.
You guys keep going. I just got to go to the bathroom and take care of something real quick. I'll be right back.
No, we'll keep going, right? Listen, buddy. So they can't get adjoining rooms. There's a whole bunch of weird Lost in Translation style language stuff.
Yeah.
They go to Mission Mars. Logan goes out on the deck, and he's still bleeding. He's like, what the hell is going on? Ghost Jean is there, and she's like, hey, let it go. Just, die. Die. And she's like, actually, you're losing your touch. And she ducks out of the way, and there's a guy about to shoot him.
Yep.
And the guy jumps off the roof. They fall on it. Looks like he's actually going to fight it here. They're going to kill him, but then Mariko has throwing knives. She's a champion throwing knife person, and knives all the ninjas.
Yes. And I think doesn't Logan grab the taser and tase somebody in the dick too? So that's always a fun time.
There's a proper dick tasing here, and not the famous NFL star dick tasing.
They take Mariko takes him to a vet student for large animals, and I feel so bad. I think that the most victimized person in this entire movie is this poor kid who's a vet, because once it's finished, once Wolverine wakes up, he goes to shake this dude's hand, and the dude, this 18-year-old kid throws himself backwards because all during the surgery, Wolverine has been trying to cut this dude with his claws. This has to be. This is the why would you ever agree to do back room surgery on Wolverine?
No. What front room surgery, as it were? No surgery whatsoever.
Any surgery.
This guy is generally used to spaying and neutering cats. And I imagine there's a risk of being clawed if you're spaying a cat, but not having your skeleton sliced into. There's no adamantium claws on a cat. It's not like they have 4 regular ones, and the one that comes out right here is an adamantium claw.
They would be way less common as pets if they had adamantium claws. Nobody would have cats anymore.
I would. I think it'd be kind of cool. I think I respect them.
The pets with the thumbs. Yeah, I've heard those are adamantium.
Yeah, they have the adamantium thumbs, the polydactyl. That's why That's why Hemingway loved them so much.
Yeah.
Oh, sure.
He was trying to get adamantium to create his own adamantium.
Whiskey bottle.
The old man in the C4. Keep it brief. So anywho, that poor veteran student, and he's like, he's getting stitched up and everything. He's like, I never did this before. I'm like, what, you never needed help before? So that's part of a theme, I guess.
Sure.
In this.
The next scene, we find out that the roof ninja guy, who is named Hanada, is taking orders from Dr. Green, aka Viper, aka Weird Tongue Girl. And she basically just straight up tells him, like, I suppressed Wolverine's healing factor so that you could go and get him, because otherwise you won't be able to do that. So why don't you go do that? And then she just spits in the dude's face, and then like his face starts dissolving, and then she spits in his face again, which I guess is the antidote, which that's a much more interesting power to me. Like, not just being able to poison people, but also curing them at the same time is pretty dope. Like, is it a toggle?
If she holds down L2.
Yeah.
But the other thing too is that she can't just spit in his face. She like cuts his cheek and then spits in the wound. Like sometimes she just spits in people's faces, but sometimes she has to cut them and then spit in the actual like open wound for something to happen. So I don't really understand her powers in this. And in the comics, she's not even a mutant. Like she's not. So yeah.
Isn't she like Madam Hydra in the comics?
She's something like that. The Viper is a character in it, but she's like a Captain America villain or something like that.
Yeah. Seems like a really weird pick to like for no other mutants or anybody from the Marvel universe to appear in this. Like this seems like a really strange pick.
And also, talking about how this movie falls down in the end, why is she doing anything?
Why? She says she got hired to do it. Is it all just money? But like, what?
We don't find out. It's not like we find out after the credits that like Apocalypse has hired her or something. You know, what happened? Or Stryker hired her. Like, we don't know why she doesn't have any motivation. Like, it's just really, really weird. Yeah. Cool. So Logan and Mariko are on the bus. They're not sleeping very well. And they actually go to Nagasaki. And this is like her childhood home, where they're like hanging out, laying low.
Mm-hmm. She says that her and Hanada used to be engaged. They were both like champion weapon people in their village. They were gonna get married, but Yoshida stopped it. And eventually Logan gets out of her that she got chosen as a heir and that she doesn't want it. But her dad always wanted it, and he says, well, that's why he didn't get it, because he always wanted it. Like, that's a thanks, I guess. Like, don't ever go after anything that you want, Wolverine. Is that what you're telling this 20-year-old Asian woman?
Give up is what he's saying about everything. Shinjin is like, find them. He's doing his villain thing.
Mm-hmm.
I love when Wolverine cuts himself. That's a great moment. He like cuts himself shaving and like looks at it. He's like, well, shit, I have to be careful shaving now. And then it cuts to like a 40-minute ad for Dollar Shave Club, and I thought that was super weird. Shave butter, like Dr. Pop's shave butter or whatever that stuff's called.
That's what happens when you rent this thing on iTunes. You start getting podcast ads in the middle of movies.
They overheard me say shave butter. My cat.
Wolverine's eating Sherry's berries.
Yeah. He's just like, this is an edible arrangement, Bob. Just
Well, I thought someone said, who was it? There's like some restaurant was actually involved in the Red Robin was involved in the marketing of this film.
Oh, weird.
Are you serious? That's so good.
That's what out at one point.
Yeah. Well, they spent the whole climax takes place inside a Red Robin. That's the weird thing about the Giant Samurai. He's eating burgers and getting bottomless fry baskets. Like
Clucks and fries.
Give me clucks and fries. Give me clucks and fries. So a villager says, I thought this was for sure a trap. Like a villager says, hey, a bunch of men, a tree fell in the road, we need help. And I was like, oh, this is an ambush for Wolverine to separate them. But instead, it's just so Hugh Jackman can be like a hunk again and show off how little water he drinks by like cutting free.
It's extremely this one scene is so very X-Men the animated series to me. Of we just got to take a quick break for Wolverine to go chop some wood.
Yeah.
We're being pursued by the Yakuza and your dad and your father, and your dad and probably your grandfather. But I gotta clear this tree from this otherwise pristine road. Where did this tree come from?
I guess so. So Logan's tired. Mariko buys an apple, so like this will help.
Yep.
And he wanted, and they made a monument to his tube. There's a tube monument.
Cool.
So you check out the old tube. What happened with the old tube? How's the tube been?
I'm glad we checked back in on the tube. I was really concerned about it since the beginning of the movie, which was 47 years ago. About my reckoning.
Jeremy. Our boy, the nutrient bath. Like, if that tube and that nutrient bath got together, can you imagine the kids they'd make?
Oh, God. Nutrient tubes. Ugh, I don't like it.
Nutritubes. Hulk hate NutriTubes. Yoshida offers Logan a sword. Or not, this is a flashback where Yoshida tries to give him a sword.
Mm-hmm.
Logan takes it and is like, I can't give this to you. I don't deserve it or something. They leave, and it's still incredibly radioactive, but they leave.
Well, real quick, we have to set up the proper way to hold a samurai sword, which is two hands.
Oh,
because that's going to be very important later, which I could not believe that was an actual, like, oh, yeah, I'm glad they showed me that, I guess.
Here's the thing, too, right? Guess who uses the same sword and holds them one-handed? The fucking samurai.
The fucking samurai does, absolutely.
Lava sword, which is already really dumb. Like it's a Dark Souls 3 weapon art, and then, but the samurai can just do it in one hand and turn them into lava swords. Like, I don't... Yeah, really dumb.
It's because when you switch to two hands, you're calling the sword a bastard.
Oh, okay. Really so mad.
That's what it is. That's exactly what it is, yeah. You can't insult the sword's honor, everybody.
So here's the thing, too, about not only should no vet tech ever do surgery on Wolverine, no one should ever sleep with him ever again. Between when he killed Rogue, or almost killed Rogue in X-Men 1,
mm-hmm.
and all the times he pops out with his claws and fights phantoms.
Yep.
So, like, he's sleeping, like, Mariko's been listening to him sleep talk. This hasn't happened quite yet, but they're going to sleep together here. They go in the rain. They fall in love, essentially, very quickly.
Oh, yeah. I mean, all it takes is one little rainstorm, and then you're in love for life. Like, that's pretty much all it takes. Especially in Japan, where rain is an aphrodisiac. I don't know if you guys knew that or not. Maybe.
Well, they're in Nagasaki. Like, I don't know how long it's been since the nuclear fallout. It's like turned into, mutant rain. But they're making out and stuff, and they sleep together. And then Jean's like, "This isn't going to end well. You hurt everyone you love. You killed me." And he's like, "You were hurting people, Jean." She's like, "Yeah, so." It's like very like. And then he wakes up stabbing stuff. Like, he sees the Silver Samurai try to kill him. He wakes up doing this like inches away from Mirko, who wakes up like it's the most normal thing in the world.
Oh, yeah, she just reaches out and starts, like, petting his claws, and I'm like, girl, those are adamantium. Those are sharp.
You have a skeleton hand. Stop sleeping with Wolverine. It's not good.
This isn't a Dollar Shave Club razor.
The $2 at least. Like, this is a fancy razor. Like, you're gonna die. She says, "Who's Jean?" Logan says he killed her, and that's it. And she's like, "Okay, cool."
Yeah, I don't need anything more about that. Recent lover. Please don't tell me any more details. Man, I just had sex with.
Yeah, let's keep going steady. Yukio wakes up thinking about Logan too, because he's so dreamy. He's like a Pucci. The next morning, Mariko has gone missing because Wolverine, between movies, has become the light sleeper in the world, or the heavy sleeper of the world.
Oh yeah,
you can put a in his heart. You can do anything to him, and he will sleep through it like nothing.
So, Mariko's missing. Is that where Luigi goes around?
That's Mariko Wand of Gamelon. Okay. Is actually
this movie would be 100% better if the main villain was Bowser. I'm just going to say that out loud. Like, if Bowser kidnapped Mariko right now, I'd be so into this.
It would make sense.
The Bowser would make total sense at that point. Yeah. The new Super Mariko Brothers. Yeah. So she's missing. She screams. He runs out. She's being taken away. He parkours his way down there. They shoot him in the leg and get away. And he interrogates one of the guys by puncturing his lungs.
Yeah.
Apparently.
I thought this parkour scene was gonna be more, because I thought that he was so used to just abusing his body. Like, I was really hoping that he would jump off of like a 6-foot drop and just fall to the ground with his knee shattered and not be able to walk for a little while.
For knee shattering action, people should watch Cole's Dark Corners of the Earth stream, because you break your legs conservatively like 20 times in that game. Your legs just constantly break. Like, a fall from this high breaks both your legs every time.
They're awesome.
So they get the name. They're getting ready to leave to go investigate Noburo, who is the Minister of Justice.
Yeah.
Yukio says, like, "I saw you die." Very upset, and describes it. And the way he dies is lying on his back with blood everywhere, with his chest open, holding his own heart, which is like pretty badass, and never pays off.
No, I mean, this is this is what happens here. Like, when they go back to the compound or whatever. Like, that's the scene.
Well, kinda, but he doesn't hold his own heart. He just pulls out a wacky wall crawler.
Well, I mean, she's a mutant, not a psychic. Come on, like, she just doesn't see it in perfect. She doesn't see it in 4K, Gary. Okay, give her some credit.
She does say, she's like, I can see it through like a keyhole or something like that.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
So they're gonna go to the Minister of Justice. The Minister of Justice is having a sex party with all these naked ladies. Logan gets them all out, and I think this is actually kind of fun. I like Logan being a badass here.
I like that. This is Mariko's fiance, and he's like, I didn't think you did stuff like this when you were engaged. Logan, you just slept with his fiance last night. That's exactly. You had so much sex with her that she passed out and got her kidnapped. That's how much sex you had with her last night. Why are you judging this man? Because he has 2 women? Like, I don't understand.
Why says bad, Bob? It's because he's a sexist. It is Wolverine being a sexist. He's like your grandpa. Like, he's very old. He's like, you have 10 words that and if I don't like what you say, you're not going to like it. He starts saying something, he punches him. Eventually he tells him it's Shinjin. He attempts to execute him. Or he gives a little exposition. He says, Shinjin, Ishida spent billions of dollars on doctors. He stockpiled adamantium. We don't know why.
I don't know why. They seem like 2 totally different things to me.
Yep. And they offered, he's like, politics don't last forever. I needed this fortune to do this. So Logan's like, okay, throws him off the roof. But into a pool. And then there's a little James Bond reference where Yukio's like, how'd you know there was a pool there? And he's like, I didn't. So he was trying to execute him and failed.
So we go back over to Mariko, who is now being like put in front of Shinjin, who basically tells her like, oh, I study genetics and certain things skip generations. And that absolutely goes nowhere. I really thought this was going to be some hereditary thing, but no, it's just that she's a good person and Shinjin sucks. That's it. That's what skipped a generation, was being a good person.
And also the grandfather isn't a good person.
Also that, yes.
He's a monster too, as we find out. So that didn't skip a generation either, unless there's like a planned sequel where Mariko shows up in an adamantium mech as well. It's just like, it's time for me to get more apples or something. I don't know what she wants.
It's a Ralph Lauren adamantium dress suit.
the altering her Chanel suit like Marge Simpson, the adamantium.
Yep.
The most incredible material in the world that gets cut through constantly on this movie.
All of this gets interrupted by random ninjas. Like, we've seen like Yakuzas, like Yakuza thugs like attacking people, but this is really our like first just enormous group of ninjas. And I kind of like this scene, like where they're sneaking through and killing people, and they do a lot of that like Kill Bill-esque like through the silhouette kind of stuff. That's kind of neat, but where the fuck are these ninjas coming from? Like, eventually they identify themselves as the Black Clan, which is, like supposed to protect the Yoshida family from 900 years ago or something. But otherwise, up to this point, it's just random ninjas. I feel like I'm watching Daredevil right now.
And like the worst parts of Daredevil, I came up with a theory or an idea about ninjas when I was watching this. Because I was like, my instinct is to say I don't like ninjas. But the actual truth is, I like a ninja. I don't like ninjas.
There you go. Yeah.
Like, if there's one ninja, that's cool. Like, that's cool. Like, a protagonist ninja is cool. It's just a generic enemy. I think they're really boring.
Yeah.
Like, just a whole crew of them, extremely boring. One ninja, good. Multiple ninjas, miss me.
Yeah. But then you get to 10 billion ninjas. and then what happens?
What happens with ninjas versus hamburgers or whatever the 2002-esque Flash cartoon whatever that thing was. Hold
on, I'm going to load up E-Bomb's world and drop some stuff in the show notes for us.
Yeah. Boot up Portal of Evil. Dr. Green shows up at this point, says like, no, we need Mariko alive. You can't kill her, Shinjin. She licks a pen and stabs Shinjin in the neck, which makes him collapse into a koi pond, but he does not die yet. Not yet.
No, he has a much worse death ahead of it because, I mean, up to this point, Shinjin has kind of been like what you would think is the antagonist. He's the one that keeps going after Mariko, but Mikiro. He just dies in this koi pond, and that's it.
Yeah.
Not quite dies. Yeah, but almost.
Because Yukio shows up, it's empty. They find a picture of Yoshida's birthplace with "Come Get Her" written in blood. So this whole thing is a Wolverine trap.
Mm-hmm.
Wolverine then notices all this tech stuff and says, what if I got X-ray? Which the vet tech didn't do. Turns it on and sees this little wacky wall crawler on his heart. So immediately, no discussion, he's like, okay, I've got to get in there and pull that thing out with my hands.
This is something that only a man that's had a healing factor for the last 200 years would say, because I guarantee you, if it was me, I'd be like, I need to call a doctor immediately. I need to call a doctor and the police to get this thing out of me.
Like surgery and stuff. And it's a really weirdly brutal scene where like him, because he's like watching an x-ray to look and see, so he can reach up and get it. Like he's playing Operation and like trying not to just peel off his bones. Because of course it does. He's pulling a weird little spider off his heart.
Yeah.
It's like, where did the heart come from? Like that's not a poison.
No, and this is the things that he saw in because they're in Yoshida's like hospital room or whatever, and at the very beginning when he walked in here, he saw these little things like running around and saw them on Yoshida's heart, keeping him alive. So there's some foreshadowing to this, but yeah, she apparently just spat this into his mouth like he was Neo from the Matrix. Is that what happened?
Like he took a big hit from a spliff and shotgunned it into him. Yeah, it's just like shotgun hits of heart spider.
What would this strain of weed be called, Gary? You live in Portland. You probably know this.
What do you think, Brayton?
What? No, sorry. What was the question?
What would the heart spider strain of weed be called, you guys?
Oh,
you guys are more in touch with the culture than I am.
It'd probably be like OG arachnoid.
Okay. Perfect. Nailed it.
Yeah, or electrofunk. Yeah,
electrofunk OG arachnid.
I love it. Yep, I love it. So while he starts doing surgery on himself, Shinjin wakes back up and grabs a sword and like some armor and decides to attack them. And there's a kind of a cool fight scene around this, which I think is pretty dope.
Well, there's two fight scenes. There's Yukio holding him off, which is fine. It's not like Yukio does better work elsewhere. When Wolverine wakes up and then they actually do the fight, I think that's actually kind of great. Because it reminds me of the X-Men 2 scene where Magneto gets his powers back. Mm-hmm. Or when he, the too much blood, and he just feels like he's just like, yes, like I have this back. Like Wolverine just letting everything happen to him and just like marveling at his ability to heal it. So much so that like he gets like stabbed in the heart, like he almost gets bisected, which like adamantium, what? Like it just goes like right through.
I guess they didn't worry about his chest plate. They just left that bone, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. It seemed very unfair to Shinjin a little bit.
Yeah, actually, I felt kind of bad for Shinjin during this whole thing, to be honest with you. Like, all he did was want a company and try to kidnap his daughter. Like, he hasn't done, like, truly evil shit yet.
Well, he was going to kill her.
I mean, we don't know that. Like, maybe he was going to just hide her or something.
He says it. He's like, I'm going to give you what you want. Remember when you tried to jump off the cliff?
Oh, yeah, he totally does try to kill her. My bad. Okay.
I don't want to hear about me standing for him ever again. Standing for Shinjin over here.
Shinjin is my boy!
I was Shinjin. Shinjin, I-O! I'm
going to cover my notebook with Shinjin's name, and every single S is just going to be the weird 90s S symbol.
Mr. Jeremy Shinjin. Mr. Jeremy Shinjin Jr. So in the fight, he kills Shinjin eventually, and he's going to let him go. He's like, you live with trying to kill your daughter. Shinjin won't let it go, so he kills him. He stabs him in the throat.
Yep.
When he says, what kind of monster are you? And he goes, I'm the Wolverine. So they get to go leave. Yukio's like, it's a trap. And he's like, it doesn't matter. And then they see plans for the Mecha Samurai thing, which is going to pay off soon.
Yeah, this is where the movie takes like it wasn't. I didn't think it was like particularly great. Like I think it was an okay action movie up to this point, but the whole back half of this thing it takes a nosedive. I don't like really anything that happens after this.
Me neither, man. I was expecting to because I liked what happened up until this point. Like all the character stuff is good, but the action here gets dumb. Even the ninja like stuff with the bow and arrows and like all that stuff ends up being like extremely dumb.
It's way over the top in a way that I can't really appreciate. Like the Yukio grabbing the whatever snow grinder and chewing up ninjas that are just running around this village. Like, what is happening?
It's really dumb. Like, so essentially, we're gonna skip through this and go pretty quick here, actually. But like, Dr. Green says Harada's like, here, use this poison. Like, we don't need that. She goes, well, wait, here, you have it in case you do need it. He loses his honor and tries it because Wolverine is wrecking shop, and Yukio is grinding everyone up with a snow grinder. Until eventually he gets hit with that poison. And I was like, oh, did they just put another spider heart in him? But no, it just slows him down. And then there's a scene where they all shoot him with arrows that have ropes on them. And they, like, drag him back. Like, he's running towards a thing, and I'm like, Wolverine, like, zigzag, serpentine, Wolverine.
Use your claws to cut the ropes that are holding you back. Just do a little, like, just cut back there, man. Like, you have knives in your hands right now. What are you doing?
Did they not get him in that one spot you can't really reach?
Oh, yeah, it's just that. Oh, I can't. I'm trying to.
That's true. He does that after like 6
Yeah,
inches.
he just does it, and then, like, it's just that one spot on his back with the claws.
This
like
the final scene of this when they like pan up and you see all of the arrows and the ropes, like, really reads like a Todd McFarlane Spider-Man comic book page to me.
Yeah. It's very much supposed to be like a movie poster shot or something.
Yeah.
But it just doesn't make any sense for Wolverine to be that stupid, you know? There's a thing where he blows up a truck to kill a bunch of ninjas at once and lights a cigar in the explosion. It's like, come on.
But he doesn't. But just to make sure everyone understands, he doesn't, like, lean over and put the cigar on some fire. He causes an explosion after putting a cigar in his mouth, and then the cigar is just lit.
Yeah. It's its own worst enemy at that point.
Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
So he eventually, boy, how does he get out of this? Yukio wakes up. And no, he gets captured.
Yeah, he gets captured and put in, like, the weird chair.
Yeah, he gets put in a weird chair. That's I found out about this movie from going to IMDb and searching for weird chairs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you found Bloodborne cut content and the Wolverine 2013.
Yep. And this is where Viper gives her speech. Like, I'm immune to every toxin known to man, but I'm also a toxicologist. I'm immune to man himself. So I thought, like, this, like, is that it subtly saying that she is a lesbian? I didn't know what that felt like a non sequitur to me.
Yeah, I didn't really get that either.
Yeah. He pops his claws and the machine locks them into place because, as we're going to find out, the way to check out Wolverine's powers is through his claws.
Sure.
Which felt a misunderstanding of his powers to me.
Those are just bones, guys. Those are just bones.
Yeah. They're bones.
I do like that they came up with the machine to lock his claws in place. Like, I feel like there could have been something better to do with it, but I really like the idea of Wolverine kind of grunting and trying to retract his claws and be like, oh fuck, what do I do now? They're just out.
Yeah.
Was he doing an English or a Japanese grunt?
It's a good question. Check the subtitles, please. If you guys had subtitles.
This lab is full of Wolverine specific machinery. Like, grabber, there's the claw syringes. Like, everything is just built specifically to torture Wolverine. Here. So then the giant samurai robot gets up, and the only way they have to knock, like, the most efficient, as far as I know, this suit, the only purpose of it is to cut off his claws.
That's it.
So rather than making, like, a paper cutter or, like, a handheld lava knife, they made a giant adamantium samurai to wield it like a sword.
Yes, of course. It's the only honorable way. That's it.
Yeah, it's an honorable adamantium samurai bot.
Yes.
Like, so it's going to get ready. It's firing up its lava sword. It's about to cut off his claws. And Mariko, Brass Balls on Mariko, jumps in front of it to try to stop it and causes it to destroy the machinery. And then we're in this pretty long, not very good ending fight here. I think we should hit the highlights of.
Yeah, I don't like a lot of this. Let's get Viper out of the way first, because Viper and Yukio are gonna start fighting, and Viper gets injured, which for some reason causes her to molt her skin, but which is extremely weird. Like, she literally peels off her skin from the skull down, like her hair included, and I don't understand why. I thought she was just a normal person with a mutant power about poisons, but nope. That's a whole secondary mutation that I was not ready for, Carrie. I had no idea. Ugh.
It goes on for a long time too. They cut away from it and do it a bunch of times, just her peeling her skin off. And, like, there's that Generation X member Husk. And I was like, if they could do Husk, but also, like, her just peeling off the injury. Like, it wasn't like a skin deep injury. So I didn't really get it. But I also, just having her pair up with Yukio. That fight eventually resolved. The way they kill her is Yukio just, like, hangs her, like, wraps a cord around her neck, then jumps off the thing and pulls her up an elevator shaft.
Yeah, she does one of my favorite movie moves of all time, which is I have a rope in my hand and I throw it at a pole and it becomes a knot on the pole when it gets there. That's just it's an extremely talented throw, is what I'm saying.
Yukio's great. She does a good job. So that's that fight.
Yep.
Wolverine is fighting the samurai bot, here. And the samurai bot, the first move cuts off his claws,
which is
on one of his hands.
Which is crazy, right? Like I was a little, like I knew the bones would grow back, but I was like, holy shit, what is going to happen in this movie? Like that was really good.
Yeah, I was just like, oh, and the fight's not going well for Wolverine until the Arrow guy comes in. He talks to the robot. He's like, this is not the way. The robot kills Arrow guy. And then Wolverine picks up the sword. And he's like, has it with one hand. He's like, why no lava? And then he has a flashback that's like, oh yeah, Japanese swords, two hands. Puts his hand out and turns into a lava blade.
It's so ridiculous, man. Like once you two-hand the sword, you get a fire attack? What is that? That doesn't make...
Man, it's a Dark Souls 3 sword. Like, that's why this is the third half of this movie. The first half of this movie is Dark Souls 1. The middle half, the last half is Dark Souls 3.
3 halves.
3 halves. 150%.
3 halves. That's how long this movie felt, Brayton. It was 3 halves of a normal movie.
The extended cut is extremely long. So now he chops off the thing's head, but it's not. It doesn't kill it.
No. It's like it's like it's what's his name, Banner in the Hulk armor from the latest Avengers movie, where his head just barely pokes over the top of the thing.
Yeah, and it's Yoshida, and Yoshida, like, he's gonna fall off this cliff. Yoshida finds him, like, Wolverine's hanging off the edge. Wolverine tries to throw the thing off. It doesn't work. Throw the robot off, and it's Yoshida, and Yoshida's like, "You did not accept my gift. Now I will take it," or something. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, why did this guy turn evil? When did that happen?
There's no reason for him to turn evil. Like, but they obviously had these plans all along, because when they designed the giant adamantium samurai robot suit, they made it have like weird things in its wrist to drill through Wolverine's claws to steal his healing powder. It just what?
Yeah, and it, like, that looked like it hurt so bad to have the drills like go into your knuckles. But why is that sucking out his healing power and like makes Wolverine's eyes all cloudy, and then Yoshida starts like de-aging very quickly.
Yeah, I do think that special effect is really good, by the way, when they go from like the older actor to the younger actor that you see in the flashbacks. I thought that was actually really well done, all things considered.
Yeah, that looks cool. So he's gonna die, but then Mariko saves his life by throwing 2 blades into her grandfather's head.
So I guess the healing powder doesn't work as well as he thought it was going to.
Yeah. It disconnected the syringes, which were sucking out the healing power. And like I was on board for the Morlock Christmas, where they just put you next to a Wolverine on a table, and that's how the healing power works.
Sure, yeah.
So he's gonna die, and Wolverine takes the samurai guy, and he says, "You took me here to say goodbye? Well, sayonara," and kicks him off the cliff. Like, This is very similar to Wolverine's famous cultural sensitivity that brought us "Cuckoo, 'cause you got screwed" from the first movie. So Wolverine is racist against a different culture in every movie.
I also like that they show the samurai robot falling, but it just falls like maybe about 50 feet to the bottom of this thing. Like, somebody from the village is going to have to go collect this at some point. You should probably go take care of this giant skeleton, or giant samurai robot skeleton.
Like, some kid's gonna walk around in that and be the cock of the block. Like,
100%. Yeah. It's gonna be like the scene in the Venture Brothers where the OSI agent just lands and all the kids are stealing their toys.
Yeah. They're like riding him. So we cut it. This is the end of it. Miracle runs over. Yukio is there. We fade over, and it's like a new scene where Jean's in bed with them. She's like, "Can you stay this time?" He goes, "No, I don't want to. I don't want to be alone. Or I don't want to die." She's like, "I'm all alone here. You put me here." And again, Scott. Like, I know they're not in the same place, but like, even if it's just Wolverine's subconscious, the fact that he's not even thinking about her husband being there is very funny to me. Like, even like, he does not give a shit that Scott is dead. He doesn't even remember. He's like, I'll never. I don't even think about Scott anymore. Like, he just doesn't think about it.
Scott who, bub? Scott who?
Yeah. Very, very funny. He's like, "I love you, and I always will." And then we're setting up this whole thing. They say goodbye to Mariko. He can't stay there. He's a soldier. He's been hiding too long, and it sets up this whole thing with Yukio as his like sidekick.
Yes.
It feels like it starts with it's going to be a franchise, but so that's the end of this movie. But then there's a mid-credits scene that kind of sets up Days of Future Past. Or not Days of Future Past, First Class.
Or no, Days of Future Past, right? Because they do they do the Trask thing, even though First Class came first. Like, they do the Trask thing, and yeah. It doesn't. I mean, like, it doesn't make sense with with the way that they've done those movies at all. Like, it doesn't really work anymore. But I can see at the time being like extremely into that. Like, oh crap, Magneto and Xavier together. I've never heard of such a thing.
I would have lost my mind. Like, if I had seen this in the theater, like, at the time. I skipped this one, but I would have gone crazy.
Do you think you would have gone crazy? Because it was 2013, and I feel like the X-Men franchise was kind of dead by now. Like, we saw X-Men 3, and then there was this. Like, if they had put those two in a room together, I'd been like, okay, well, I guess, sure.
You might be right, because I wouldn't have gone crazy enough to watch this.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
I didn't watch this movie even. So this is the first time I've seen it. Like, this is the only X-Men movie I'd never seen before. So I think this is okay. I wish that they had ended better.
It's fine up until the last third or less into the last half to the third half of the movie. It's perfectly fine. Some good action scenes. All of Wolverine's one-liners are extremely dumb. Hugh Jackman's body is just like 5 veins that have just metamorphed into a human body, and I hate it. It's so gross.
It's like they took muscle and just like braided it.
Oh God, and then made them bigger in some places and then smaller in others, so it's just this bulby mass of braided muscle, and then it has an accent for some reason. I don't know.
The idea is he's supposed to look better than he did in the other movies, but he doesn't look better.
No.
Like, it's like in that trivia thing, he's like, yeah, I talked to Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson about bulking up, and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson said I could gain a pound a week for 24 weeks if I ate nothing but brown white rice, steak, and chicken. And it's like, Hugh Jackman, everyone loves you as Wolverine. Chill the fuck out.
Yeah,
like, you're not competing. You're not, like, doing
this risk of losing this if you would.
Yeah. Like, what is this to you?
Yeah, who else is going to play the Wolverine at this point? Like, who else are they going to get?
Yeah,
some bigwig at 21st Century Fox made some like offhand comment about how, man, we should pick someone bigger.
Yeah, like you're not that strong. I've seen you auditioning for that Music Man, that Greatest Show on Earth thing. You're in Les Mis, you're not that strong. And he's like, oh, I'll tell you, bub. It's like, bub? Excuse me, Mr. Jackman?
Is that how they get him to sign contracts? Is just to neg him into it? Like, oh, come on, I bet you can't lift this contract to even sign it, you weird Aussie.
You're not strong enough to play Wolverine anymore. Well, I'll show you. So, anywho, that's the Wolverine.
That is the Wolverine. I'm glad we got that out of the way, so we can just concentrate on all the other good X-Men movies there are.
It's all after this. Well, we've done all the bad ones, I think.
I don't.
What do we still have?
We still have Apocalypse, which I don't think I like as much as you. So.
Yeah, no, Apocalypse is not good. It's all right, but I think we're almost out of X-Men movies entirely.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully we have. We'll catch that, but we got the third or the fourth one in this new franchise, and then the New Mutants will come out. I want to cover that at some point because I think that's going to be either incredible or incredibly bad. And then they'll probably reboot it into the MCU somehow, which is whatever.
Yep. Deadpool 2, we got to do that at some point.
Yep.
Which is a straight up X-Men movie, like.
At some point we're gonna cover Blade 1, 2, and 3, right? Like, we gotta.
Yeah. Yes, 100%.
Did the Blade movies tie it?
No, they're good though.
Okay.
Blade 2 owns. Like, Blade 2 is a really good movie.
Blade 3 is terrible.
No, Blade 3 is pretty bad. Blade 2 is really good.
No, it's good.
Yeah.
And also I want to do those Punisher movies.
Oh, I'm into that. Yeah, I'm totally into that. Those.
Yeah, it'd be fun.
But yeah, like thank you everybody that's been watching and donating. I don't have the feed up so that I could hear you guys because my internet kind of sucks. But hopefully we've gotten some really good donations and everything in. And thank you everybody for watching and doing that and listening to us talk about this terrible X-Men movie.
Yeah, we appreciate it. We'll be doing more stuff. We have the schedule up at Duckfeed.tv/Duckstream.
Mm-hmm.
Also, you can behind me and.